Hello guys, this is Juscelino Cândido, IT Architect for HCL Software. I hope you all are doing well. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate workload automation with OpenID Connect. I will be covering the very basics of OpenID, and we will go through the configuration together. Okay, so from the out-of-the-box authentication, workload automation provides the basic authentication from WebSphere, OpenLibrary to connect using OpenID Connect. Okay, so in that way we are able to leverage those identity management providers we see down the screen. In our case, in this case, I will be leveraging Okta. Okay. Before we do some basic, some refresher around some very basic concepts of OpenID Connect. I will start by naming Oauth2. Oauth2 is pretty much the authorization protocol, okay, and it's where the access token, we have the access tokens which represents the authorization of the resources, okay. With that in mind, we bring OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is the extension of Oauth2, so it's implementing Oauth2 behind the scenes. And OIDC, OpenID Connect, is also used to provide single sign-on. In our case, we will be single sign-on the Web UI DWC with our master domain manager. And of course, we have the JWT, the JSON Web Tokens, which is pretty much the format of the access token we mentioned on Oauth2. Okay, so we're gonna see how a JSON Web Token looks like, but will be more or less the communication, how we're gonna be handling the resources. That communication is pretty much the JSON Web Tokens. So first, we will draft our scenario on how OpenID Connect will play part. I have a user accessing through the browser, a user accessing DWC, entering the login page to DWC, which runs on OpenLibrary WebSphere. And once we configure OpenID Connect, DWC will be a OpenID Connect client. Okay, so by doing so, DWC will redirect the browser straight to our OpenID Connect provider. In our case, will be Okta. It's the third-party OIDC provider we will be leveraging. So Okta will request the login page. Okta will be the one who gonna request the login page to the browser. And once the user properly enter username, password, multi-factor authentication, and so on, Okta will give us the green light, will authenticate and return the user, the token back to us. With that, our web UI is able to construct our JWT, the token, right? And once I'm validated, I know which user and which group, right? On my claims, we're gonna be talking about claims on the configuration files. Once we know which group this user belongs to, the web UI are able to validate, and with that, I'm able to return the landing page of our web UI, of our DWC. Okay, so, but the user, once the user is logged, we need to start using the product, right? I need to monitor jobs, create jobs, and with that, I need an engine, which is my master domain manager server, right? So once I select that engine, in order for me to not be asked username and password, I have to have single sign-on. So we're gonna be talking about that configuration as well. JWT SSO, we will be performing single sign-on between DWC and MDM. So my MDM is also aware of the username of the groups. So I'm able to also grant permission with my group from Okta to my secured files on the master domain manager as well. All right, so we will be switching now to the configuration files. We will start by showing the login page without OpenID Connect. This is using basic authentication. I have my username and password, and that will take me to the landing page of DWC. Under Design, Workload Designer, select Engine. This is my master domain manager. If I apply, it will say I don't have credentials on this engine. My master domain manager has a separated security, so I have to enter again username and password. Once I do one more time, then I have the access, job definitions, right? All my objects. So this is how the product comes out of the box. Before we jump into on the files to configure OpenID Connect, I need to get some parameters. So let's showcase a provider, Okta, one more time. Here, this is usually configured by a identity management group team in your organization, okay? But here, for the sake of our visualization, I got access to Okta. We created an application. If I take a look on the sign-on tab, notice the method is OpenID Connect. With that, I'm able to select the client authentication. It's by client secret. So I have my client ID, my client secret. One more thing that I must set it up is the redirect, okay, URL. URI. This is pretty much the DWC address. Okta has to know where to send the token back, okay? The Liberty will send to Okta. Okta has to send back the user with the token. So that will be the address for our client, OpenID Connect client. Okay, I'm showing here the provider, Okta as a provider. On another tab, I have, remember we were talking about OAuth. This is under security API. I'm able to create a authorization server, Okta calls it. It's pretty much here the ability, I have multiple options. I can assign scope, claims, and access policy. This is where I'm gonna tell which application has access to this authorization server. Okay. And I also will make a note of this metadata URI for us to set it up on Liberty. Okay, so with that information in hands, I will now switch over to the configuration files. Okay, we will start configuring OpenID Connect. On top, we have one of the files. We're gonna split this up in three different configuration files for Open Liberty WebSphere. On top, I'm pretty much adding some features on Liberty. Most important one is, of course, the OpenID Connect. Has filter, I'm going to authenticate. This is it's pretty much saying authenticate every URL that does not contain. Scrolling down to the side, we can see match type not contain those strings. Okay, and of course my OpenID Connect main setting, client ID, the secret that came from Okta provider, out filtered ref. I'm referencing my REST filter. User identifier and group identifier is the claims, how it looks like on Okta. Okay, so I need to match those claims so Liberty can extract, especially group identifier, can extract all the groups that belongs to my user. Okay, and also the metadata URL we were showing on the Okta screen. It's the discovery endpoint URL. Okay, so I know to get the configuration from Okta. And redirect support, this is when the user comes back, this is going to be the redirect URL Liberty will send to this URL. And that's pretty much it. So from this point, I can pretty much copy and save on my overwrites folder. I name it Okta underscore OpenID XML, can be any name, but this is, I'm starting to configure the file. With that, I should be able, with that only, I now should be able to access OpenID Connect. But before we test and make sure it's working, I will also configure the single sign-on. So I have one more file here, and those files, the contents of those files is on the description, on the blog post, on the description of the video. But I'm also adding some features. I will go very quickly through those files, but in short, I have a JWT builder here to create a JWT, and then MP JWT. This is to process, and similar here, I have some Oauth filters here, which is pretty much just to exclude my metrics API. Okay, so but that's configurations from my side. On your environment, you can customize at your preference. I will create another file, JWT SSO DWC XML, and I will save this. And I will now also, I have one last final file, and that is on my master domain manager. I will switch to I have my path saved here, but I will just go on the config droppings from my master domain manager. I have DWC and master domain manager on the same server. So those are my files, and here is how my master domain manager is aware of the JWT token. I have an MP JWT chunk here of configuration. Okay, this is to connect, it pretty much connects to DWC to get the token. Okay, this is how we know how MDM will communicate with DWC Open Connect client. So I will just create one more file on my MDM, and that's it. From this point, all it takes is the environment was down. I will pretty much start both MDM and DWC. So we will take a look on how my DWC now will look like. I'm back to my browser now, and I will connect to my DWC landing page, and let's see how DWC looks like with OpenID Connect configured. Immediately, as soon as I entered the login page, it sent me to Okta login screen. Okay, so I will proceed with my credentials. It will take a moment to log in. So it's federated, so it sent me to HCL's internal login. This is in our intranet login, let's say, and I also have to enter multi-factor. So let's get the code. Okay, and see it will, okay, yes, it should send me to DWC, and yeah, it sent me to DWC, but I don't have any roles. My nearly configured OpenID Connect. Okay, so my ID came from OpenID Connect. DWC is not aware of the user nor their groups, so it didn't assign anything to my user. Okay, so I I cannot do anything. I will disconnect and I will log in one more time, but now I will connect. You can see here at the URL login.jsp. On my auth filters on the configuration file, I told Liberty that if login.jsp is part of the URL, don't send to Okta. That's helpful in these cases where I need to enter using my local registry authentication. So my installation user, I will connect with my installation user. It's local, so I'm gonna have all the groups that comes out of the box. Administration, manage roles, administrator, I will add my Okta groups. Okay, so I won't be adding my user. I will go straight into adding the groups. I'm gonna add 2 groups that I'm part of those groups on Okta. So I will add one, and I will add one more user that I know I'm part of. Okay, here. So I will save, and I will disconnect one more time, and we will clean up the cache just to make sure nothing is coming from WA user. So I will go to the landing page one more time. Yeah, it took me to Okta again. I will authenticate, and then Okta will send me back to DWC. Now I have pretty much all the access because my group is part of I'm part of that group, which is part of the roles on DWC. Okay, so I can. That's how now I am authorized. If you notice on the landing page, that's my ID that I decided to log in. It's my email address, and under administration, manage roles. One more time, notice I'm part of those 2 groups, so I was able to access all the menu and everything on DWC. But let's try to open my master domain manager. Okay, so under design, we will try to select the engine, apply, and it still is missing the credentials, meaning the single sign-on for some reason did not work. Okay, and that's because the groups I just added on DWC, I also have to add on my master domain manager. Okay, let's add the groups on my master domain manager now. The groups coming from OpenID Connect. Under administration, manage workload security, I don't have single sign-on, so I have to enter my local user ID and password. So give access to user and groups. I know that I'm part of one group, the same group we added on DWC. Let's take one of them, and we'll do full control on the folder, all the folders. We will send and create new, because I will also grant full control under domain level, all objects. Okay, so now I should be able to use single sign-on. Now I have the groups on DWC and on the master domain manager that I need. Let's log out one more time. We're gonna clean up the cache, and I will connect once more. It sends to Okta. It will send me back. I should have the DWC landing page right now. From here, design, workload designer, I will select my engine. But now, notice it's already loading the items. It won't ask me for a credential. And that is when I know the JWT single sign-on is established. Okay. One more point: how I know and how I troubleshoot this back and forth. You can do F12, get the developer tools. This is from Chrome. I notice as soon as I log in and I start doing the the pages, clicking on the pages, you can see here the traffic on the developer tools. I'm opening here because I want to point out the cookies. One important cookie that we should be aware of is JWT. You can see if I get that cookie. Let's try to identify the header over here. If I copy and paste, that guy and we connect to a website called JWT.io, and I can paste, it's encoded, I can paste the token and notice the details of my token, pretty much how Liberty sees it. And here is my username, okay, and the groups I'm part of. So I'm part of those groups here, so any group from that list that I added to my master domain manager or the DWC, I would get access. Okay, so this is a nice way to troubleshoot. Hopefully you guys like it. That will conclude our integration, OpenID Connect and workload automation. The details is on the description, blog post and presentation. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.